Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Tonight we will be finishing up 5.4 and at least a good chunk of 5.5. So let's dive on in. Hey, we are live.
Thank you for coming so soon. I'll send for Commander Aldin at once, and we can decide what to do about these infernal towers.
Roca preserved!
Well, that doesn't look good.
It can't be.
The palace! After them!
You're here, good.
Well, well, well! To be received by such an illustrious cast! Why, even the hero of the piece is here! I feel quite starstruck. Is that Asahi?
His body, more like. You don't fool us.
Oh! You saw straight through it! Anyone would think you dealt with Asians before. Permit me to introduce myself. I am Fandango, and may I say what a pleasure it is to finally make your acquaintance. My, straight to business is it? Suit yourself. It is my intention to recreate the final days. To which end I have distributed a collection of rather ingenious devices, or towers, which will, in time, give rise to the grandest of spectacles.
The final days? But it was the Asians who labored to prevent them.
You're quite right, though I would expect no less from one responsible for eliminating my unsundered colleagues. Honestly, the three of them were obsessed with restoring the one true world. As a sovereign individual, however, I never had much interest in such things. I mean, why bother when you're just another sundered minion? Admittedly, Elidibus was not convinced by that argument, but thanks to you, I'm finally free of his incessant nagging. Free to use my powers as I see fit, to fulfill my heart's desire. And my heart's desire is to lay this half-broken world to waste, leaving nary a fleck of dust behind!
What? Why would you want such a thing?
Because I want wretched creatures who ask such meaningless questions to die! You! And you! And you! I want you all to die! And I want to die too! Oh, yes! I want to die and take everyone with me in a paroxysm of pain and suffering! I'm different, you see, from the ancients who clung to dear life, and from you. So don't bother trying to reason with me. You will find I have no reason, or creed, or any such tripe. I just want to destroy the world. But please do resist with all your might. It will add to my enjoyment. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes peeled, for the curtains have risen on the spectacle to end all spectacles. We, the Telophoroi, shall be your performers and this very star our stage.
A Lafaroy.
Ah, but I nearly forgot. I have a message for you. My esteemed patron, Lord Xenos, eagerly awaits you at the heart of the chaos. While I wish only to destroy the world, he exists solely to relive a certain, transcendent moment with you. And it is for that reason he would reduce all to ash. Pray see to it his dreams do not go unfulfilled. For if you should disappoint him, my trusty companion here, whom I've dubbed Lunar Bahamut, will burn your cities and everyone in them.
Everyone out! My men will tend to the blaze.
He is obnoxious.
Yes, yes, he is. A nice psychotic Ascian for us.
Always fun.
Thank goodness everyone is safe. We've managed to put out the fire, though not quickly enough to save the garden. Raban, can I leave it to you to send word to the Alliance? I'm going to take a unit and investigate the tower. We need to find out what it's for. We'll go with you. No, you won't. You'll rest. From what the Admiral tells me, you're due some time off duty. Should we learn anything about the tower, we'll be sure to share it with you. Until then, I want you to rest. Very well, but if you need our help, don't hesitate. And take care, both of you. Once I would like for them to send us to rest and have something prevent us from doing so.
I know.
Ah, you're back too. Good. We've received the reports from the Alliance. Since we're all here, perhaps those who bore witness to the events at Alamigo would treat us with the rest of us would treat the rest of us to a first-hand account. Crazy Asian showed up on a big dragon. He was crazy. Dragon was dragon. No sooner do we overcome one problem than another appears. It would all seem tediously predictable, but for the endless variety of our foes. This Fandaniel sounds even more unhinged than his patron. No, nobody is more unhinged than Xenos. Unhinged, perhaps, but no fool. For all his pantomime theatrics, he gave away little about his plot. We know only that he intends to recreate the final days, and that the towers will somehow facilitate this. He also called his dragon the Lunar Bahamut. Let's not forget that little detail. And the creature certainly did resemble the Elder Primal, if much, much smaller. That may be, but the fact that it answered to Fandaniel would suggest they are not one and the same entity. I think it more probable that it is some manner of simulacrum born of Asian magics. Whatever it is, for now we can but work closely with the Alliance and remain vigilant. I believe that concludes our news. What of yours, Ishtola? I have been to see the Sultana. Knowing how quick the immortal flames are to dispose of their tempered, I judged it best to provide them with the cure first. As soon as I had sufficiently recovered, I traveled to Ul'dah and delivered the porksies to her grace, along with the detailed instructions for their use. Yet my visit chanced to coincide with the arrival of some troubling tidings. The immortal flames have been on the cusp of agreeing to a truce with the Amoljah when negotiations abruptly collapsed. The Amoljah claim that a number of their kind have been abducted, and that men are responsible. Naught is known of the perpetrators as yet, but as the immortal flames went about investigating the abductions, they came upon one of Fandaniel's towers. On the subject of the towers, you may be interested to learn that they are not an exclusively Eorzean phenomenon. According to the Alliance, they have been sighted as far afield as Yancha. And it would seem reasonable to assume that they are everywhere. We simply have not found them. Well, as you said yourself, we can do little for now, save remain vigilant. And since we are dealing with a dragon, ostensibly at least, I believe it would behoove us to enlist the aid of an authority on such foes. Estinian. Now just a moment. If he could be persuaded to lend us his lands, I would be the first to welcome it. But the truth is, we will struggle even to find him. What, is he in the back room right now or something, having tea? You let me and Kryl worry about that. We'll sniff him out, no matter where he's hiding. If indeed he is hiding. We have ways of locating him regardless. So if there are no objections, we shall depart at once. Well, rather than sitting around, I think I might go to each of the city-states and educate them in the use of porksies. They would doubtless appreciate it. But might you consider taking a moment to rest before leaving? You would be fresher for the tasks ahead. Well, my friend, our moment of triumph did not last long. Going with option 1. Was ever the way. The world often needs saving. And save it we shall. I, for one, do not intend to allow a nihilistic madman to take us all to the grave with him. Not when the future holds such promise. Nay, I will do all in my power to protect those whom I hold dear, just as you have always done. Meanwhile, somewhere in the locks,
The scouts should have been back by now. I'm gonna go and find them. Oh, thank goodness for that.
Zombies.
Glory be,
or tempered.
glory be.
Tempered of Zodiark, maybe?
Glory be to Golimond!
Tempered to Xenos? Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace,
The piles have been driven as planned, and the first of the beasts has roared to life. Moreover, I am pleased to report that preparations are well underway for the rest. Ere long, chaos shall reign over all the land, as befits the final days.
Call it what you will, so long as my friend returns to me, fangs bared and claws sharpened. I care not.
Of course, my lord. By strange coincidence, your dear friend chanced to be present when I made my declaration. I took the liberty of informing him that you await his coming, though I confess I may have singed him a little in the process.
And why do you tell me this? Are you in such a hurry to die?
Ah, my apologies. I must guard my tongue lest it be the end of me. Though, there is something to be said for such a glorious death. Better to fall to one who has it all than falter before an inferior. Huh. I shall keep it in mind as a contingency. For now, however, I shall proceed with the plan. My lord.
I must find myself a new weapon. One worthy of our long-awaited reunion.
Good news. Thancred and Urianger have finished their tour of Garlemald and are on their way back here even as we speak. As we still haven't heard anything on the towers from the Alliance, I'm hoping that they may be able to shed some light on things. They're due to arrive any moment now, so let's see what they have to say, eh? Ah, a welcoming party. You needn't have gone to the trouble. For what I hear, you've been more busy more than busy enough as it is. Words are hard today. Honestly, you might have waited for me to return before discovering a cure for tempering. As it is, I can't even pretend to have been involved. Well, if it's any consolation, I myself was little more than a spectator. The lion's share of credit must go to Alizé, Graha, and the Warrior of Light. But I believe I speak for the rest of us when I say we are proud to have rendered what little assistance we could. As you will also have heard, though, it hasn't all been tales of triumph. Just as we were taking a step towards finally addressing the primal threat, a pile of fresh problems have landed in our lap. Anyway, it's good to have you back, though I can't help but noticing that we're one Urianger short of a scouting party. You haven't lost him, have you? Oh, I couldn't lose him if I tried. And I did try. Repeatedly. But no. He decided to linger in Alamigo to appraise Raban and the others of how the land lies in Garlemald. Then mayhap you would do the same for us. Indeed. It was just as Lise said. Worse, in fact. Devastation as far as the eye could see. Nerva and the Third, sorry, however, were notable by their absence. Might they have met their ends at the hands of Xenos and Fandaniel? Perhaps. Or perhaps they simply lost the will to fight. You see, the capital has been plunged into a deathly silence, with one exception, the Imperial Palace. It was a busy place before the war, but it has grown busier still, with throngs of soldiers and civilians working there day and night to rebuild, or rather, transform it. Transform it into what? That is a difficult question to answer. The construction is vast and unsettling to behold, like something from a nightmare. According to Urianger, certain aspects of its design were clearly devised with the manipulation of Aether in mind. Magitech, in other words. Yet as unnerving as said edifice was, it was nothing next to the sight of its builders. They swarmed the place like so many insects, working with nary a word exchanged between them. No one overseeing construction, no one barking orders. It was as if they were possessed or tempered. We wanted to investigate more closely, but given our suspicions, it seemed wiser not to take the risk. If Fandaniel could bind Bahamut to his will, might he have done the same for the people of Garlemald? Whatever the truth may be, this information is certain to prove valuable. You have our thanks. Well, be sure to save some for Urianger, which reminds me, I have a message from Alamigo. Raban is hosting a meeting to discuss the latest findings on the towers, and he requested our presence. Then why not leave that to us? You must be weary from your mission. No, I'm fine. Those towers have been on my mind since I first spied one on the way back, and I'm keen to get to the bottom of this. In that case, I shall stay and begin looking into another matter, as I promised Kryl. We need not all attend. Very well. I suggest the rest of us make our way to Alamigo forthwith. The sooner we leave, the more time we have to speak with Urianger before the meeting. I was going to question the wisdom of leaving our ether expert at the Rising Stones, but I'd forgotten that Urianger was going to be there. So,
Yeah.
while I think Ishtola probably has a higher skill level than Urianger, Urianger's probably better than anything they got down there anyway, so he'll do. My friends, much and more have I heard of your travails in our absence. Heartened am I to see you hale and whole. As are we to see you safely return from your mission, Urianger. I trust Thancred made you feel welcome. Well, well, if it isn't Alphanode and his merry band. Arnvald, whatever are you doing here? When we spoke via Link Pearl, you told me you'd be away on a mission. And who's to say this isn't part of it? But enough about that. It's good to see you're looking so similar. I thought you'd have grown a bit taller after a whole year in another world, but apparently not. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. While my soul may be a year older, my body has hardly aged, as you are well aware. And may I remind you that we Elezen are known to be late bloomers, especially in terms of our height. Mark my words, the day will come when even a great aurochs such as yourself will have to crane your neck to meet my eye. Aye, 'twas not until my 20th summer that I myself outgrew my boyish proportions, though Mornbrita towered over me nonetheless. Arnvald brings out the best in Alphanode, doesn't he? They both seem at ease with each other's company. It's almost endearing. So what exactly brings you here? Oh, Fordola, mostly. We need to go over a few things before we set out. Set out? Wait, does this have something to do with the towers? Huh? What gave you that impression? Actually, tell me later. You've got a meeting to go to. I'll see you afterwards, alright? If Fordola's going with him, that must mean... My apologies. As Arnvald rightly pointed out, we have a meeting to attend. Let us be about it.
Ere we begin, I would like to offer my gratitude to Masters Thancred and Urianger. 'Tis no small feat to infiltrate the Imperial capital and live to tell the tale, much less in times of civil war. Thanks to them, we may plot our course in full knowledge of how the winds blow in Garlemald.
Full glad are we to have been of service. But verily, such dangers as we did encounter pale into insignificance next to those faced by our comrades. An Ascian, armed with the might of Bahamut, bent on bringing about the final days.
theatrics. He sought only to make a show of the power at the Telophoroid's disposal. But since then we have seen no sign of this Fandaniel or his worm. And while we've done what we can to bolster our defenses, there's no telling where he might strike next.
Whenever and wherever it may be, we must use the intervening time to learn more of our enemy. 'Twas with this in mind that we dispatched scouts to investigate the towers.
Our advance party took longer than expected to return. And when they did, they tried to kill us. Luckily, I'd seen that sort of thing before, and we were able to restrain them before they did any harm. Then it was just a matter of letting the Porksies do their work.
Are you saying they were tempered?
Once they'd come back to their senses, they told us everything they could. It seems that just as they were getting close to the tower, they heard an ear-splitting roar, and that was the last thing they remembered. But what worries me most is what they were saying right before they attacked. Glory be to Garlemald.
The Tempered have heretofore ever been thralls to primal entities. Yet these hapless souls were compelled to accept a nation as the object of their devotion. This calleth into question all that we know of the condition.
Would that the unsettling news ended there. Alas, there is more. Following the earlier reports of missing Amalja, we have learnt that other beast tribes have suffered similar losses. And we now have reason to believe that the abductions are connected to the appearance of the towers. Our scouts sighted black-garbed figures leading shackled Ixal in the direction of the tower in Dravania. The Temple Knights were able to intercept them before they could reach their destination, liberating the Ixal and apprehending their captors, each of whom was found to be equipped with Garlean arms and armor.
So the Empire is the common thread.
With the support of Xenos, it seems likely that Fandaniel has rallied a faction of the splintered Garlean army to the banner of the Telophoroi.
Lord Hien reached the same conclusion when I shared our findings with Doma. The plan had been to march on Garlemald from the east and west in order to force a peace treaty. But the situation has changed. Dealing with the threat of the towers must come first. Given the nature of the enemy and the proven risk of tempering, I could think of few suitable candidates to aid in this task. But I am confident in my choice.
What?
Resistant to primal influence as they are, they can investigate the towers without fear of being turned.
We are glad to put our gifts to use, Commander.
Gifted or not, going behind enemy lines remains a perilous undertaking. But we must know more if we're to strike back at our foe. I'm counting on you.
If it would give us the upper hand, I'd do it 100 times over. We won't let you down.
That concludes the briefing. You two, make ready and join your escort.
Are you certain about this, Arenvold? I am. Come on,
Let's talk outside.
I would say there's a near absolute chance Fordola makes it out of this. I'm not sure about Arnvald, because they've given Fordola a new model. They haven't given Arnvald a new one. So hopefully you live, buddy. Hopefully you live. And Talafarai translates to Endbringers. It's apparently Greek. So. Now that it's out in the open, I don't have to keep it under my proverbial hat anymore.
So you know, I've already gone through all the formalities at the Rising Stones. Made sure to inform Jamoldra and Vamar at Ralga's Reach as well.
Arenvold, I admire your enthusiasm, but this is far more dangerous than anything you have done before.
I know the risks. And I also know what's in store if we don't stop Fandaniel from carrying out his plan. With this power of mine, I can make a difference. If I stood idly by, I would regret it for the rest of my life.
And you, Fordola? Is this what you want?
What are you asking me for? It's not like I have any say in the matter.
Don't pretend. We both know Commander Aldin gave you a chance to refuse. And you didn't.
So the Empire's finished, is it? But that's what they're all saying. That the great and glorious Garlemald slit its own throat. And now, from out of its twitching carcass crawls the Telophoroi with bloody Xenos at its head! I fought for Garlemald. Killed for Garlemald. What was I part of? I need to know. Whatever it is, I need to know.
Very well. If your hearts are set on this, I shall not stand in your way.
If you've finished with your touching display of camaraderie, I have a question. Which tower are you planning to investigate, exactly?
Well, the one in Girabani is said to be tightly guarded. It's patrol after patrol out there, apparently. We'd be spotted before we got anywhere near it. Which is why we've set our sights on the one in Pagalthan instead. There shouldn't be anything like as many Imperials to worry about down there.
Even so, I doubt the local Amalja will look kindly on it if they catch you sneaking around in their territory.
Fordola and I had a chance to learn the lie of the land in our previous forays there. We might still find trouble, but at least we won't lose our way. Well, we'd best not keep them waiting any longer.
Mayhap when all of this is over, we could take another trip to Loxeld. I would have you know I've become a rather capable swimmer since our last visit.
Ha! I'll believe that when I see it. Though, to be fair, getting into deep water does seem to be a scion's lot in life. Take care, eh? It means a lot, you know. You coming with me.
I'll still owe you for saving my skin, don't I? Can't return the favour if I'm not there.
I dare say you'll get your chance before long. That Fandaniel sounds like a tricky customer. Too much for the likes of me, anyway. But we both know I'd just be another soldier if it weren't for my gift. And I need to be a damn sight more than that given what's coming. I realise I can't hold a candle to a hero like the Warrior of Light or Alphino, for that matter. He might look like he's 12, but he's seen more action than most people see in a lifetime. No, the fact is I'm nothing like them, and maybe I never will be. But I'll be damned if I don't try. They're counting on me. On us. So let's give it our all.
He does not want for conviction, that much is certain. So let us have faith in him. Him and Fordola both. While they see to the towers, I would attend to another task. Chasing down this lunar Bahamut.
Ah, bloody thing. Can you hear me? It's Tataru. I'm happy to say we've managed to find Estinian. And I'm sorry to say he went running off again the moment we told him about Bahamut. But he did mutter something about heading to Ishgard, so if you're quick, you might still be able to catch him.
Even if we set out this instant, he may already have left by the time we arrive. Have her send the Bonanza to Ishgard. It may prove useful should we need to give chase.
Gladly. I'll see to it as soon as Kryl and I get back to the Rising Stones. Good luck.
While you go off on your dragoon hunt, Urianger and I will return to headquarters. We have much to tell the others.
I wish you every success in your search for our elusive friend. May we all meet again ere long.
That might have been the largest, giant, glowing hand pointing at Arnvald's head, pointing, this dude's gonna have a bad day.
Yeah.
Especially that big dialogue that him and what's his name was having.
Indeed. And I'm sitting here looking for my map, trying to figure out where I need to go next, when Alphanode is standing right here.
He's just still going to tell you to go to Foundation.
So Estinian was bound for Ishgard. Whatever it is that brings him home, we must hope it will keep him there long enough for us to find him. Come, there is no time to lose. All present? Good. Let us split up and search for Estinian. Since we're relatively new to this place, Graha and I will look around the open spaces, the squares and markets and whatnot. You and the Warrior of Light can delve into the nooks and crannies. Very well. Let us reconvene at the airship landing later, with or without Estinian. Good luck. Nooks and crannies. We are going to have to go see the girl in charge of the militia, aren't we? I think we shall begin at the Sky Steel Manufactory. So perhaps you could try the congregation. Lucia may have heard news of our friend's return. Well, I wouldn't consider Lucia a nook and cranny, but okay. Good morrow to you, Warrior of Light. Lord Imeric sent word that you would be attending the meeting in Alamigo, so I gather you have not come in search of him. To what then do we owe the pleasure of your visit? I see. We were not aware Sir Estinian had returned to Ishgard, but as I expect you remember, he is wont to come and go as he pleases. Mayhap he came seeking an audience with Lord Imeric, only to find him absent? In any event, I am afraid I cannot help you. Perhaps one of your companions has fared better.
Why can't I find the airship?
It's the Astrologium.
Oh, that's right.
It's the only place that doesn't specify airship landing.
Right.
Yep.
I liked how we looked in one nook. That was it.
Yep. We looked at one nook and gave up.
No sign of him. Not that I've ever met him before, but the way Alphino goes on about him, I'm fairly sure I could pick him out in a crowd.
Speaking of which, it does seem awfully quiet. If the erstwhile Azure Dragoon had returned to Ishgard, would it not be a source of general excitement?
First the Scion's Coinkeeper, and now you. I'm beginning to think these meetings are more than mere coincidence. Not that I'm complaining. It's been too long.
Too long?
You look an ilm taller and twice as rugged. It suits you, Alphino. Quieter, though. Have you been giving him lessons on how to be the strong, silent type?
I am not Alphino! If the two of you are such firm friends, perhaps you should remember what he looks like. And what do you mean, rugged? Ugh! Had my brother mentioned what an oaf you are, I'd never have bothered looking for you in the first place.
Estinian Wormblood, the Azure Dragoon. He who fought and felled the dread worm Nidhogg at the Warrior of Light's side. To think the day would come when I should see this living legend with my own eyes.
Would someone mind explaining what is going on?
Is everything all right? I thought I heard Alize shouting. Estinian! It's been too long. No, it's quite understandable. That was hardly the first time we've been confused for one another. Nor, I suspect, will it be the last.
Well, I, for one, will not be making that mistake again. What I will say, for the second time today, is that you've grown. Inside and out. I can tell.
One can't remain a spoiled little lordling forever, you know.
At least someone's having a good time. You know, when we were growing up, Alphino would never befriend other boys because he couldn't stand the thought of not being in charge. But maybe that's changed. He seems just as happy around Estinian as he does Arenvald. I wouldn't be so sure. He still loves nothing better than the sound of his own voice.
No rest for the righteous, eh? Speaking of which, I was just on my way to borrow an airship to take me to Azis La.
Azis La? How could I forget? The dragon with whom Bahamut shared the deepest of bonds.
Aye, Tiamat, his mate. Even now she remains imprisoned on Azis La, though her remorse binds her faster than any shackle.
I see. As the one who first summoned Bahamut, you believe she may be able to shine some light on his latest incarnation.
Might I suggest that we make the journey to Azisla together? I'm not sure if Tataru mentioned this, but we Scions have an airship of our own now.
I see no reason why not. Assuming your sister can bear the thought of sharing a deck with me.
Be my guest. But confuse me with Alphino again and I'll throw you overboard. Ugh! I don't know who he thinks he is, but he's nothing like Alphino painted him to be.
I will admit, he is not exactly as I imagined him either. Based on what I had read of the man, I think I was expecting someone a little less blunt?
No, Graha. Estinian is basically the bluntest human in existence.
Mm-hmm. I did like a little half smile smirk when he showed up. And then and then I liked the look on our face, or at least on my face when she's yelling at him. It was so funny.
Mm-hmm. It's been quite some time since last I set foot in Azishla, but I understand the three of you were here rather more recently. I don't suppose you chanced to meet with Tiamat during your visit. Alas not. We had no cause to set foot here in the Delta Quadrant, but I have studied the relevant records, which is not to say I wouldn't appreciate a first-hand account of your dealings with her. Well, then he is the one to ask. As far as I know, he's the only one of us to have met Tiamat face to face. Going with option 2. Ah yes, you were a friend of her father. I too have met with Tiamat. After the Dragonsong War came to a close, I came here to speak with her. A worm who had fought her own war against man in her another age. I wished to know if she yet harbored thoughts of vengeance, and asked as much. She said no. My hatred for your kind was extinguished long ago. But the guilt she feels for resurrecting Bahamut burns on undimmed. It torments her, even now. I see. Then your original reason for coming here was out of concern that Tiamat had been forced to summon Bahamut. Nidhogg is a part of me. I feel his emotions as my own, and I know that he would not allow his sister to be made a tool of evil. In his absence, it falls to me to watch over her. Tiamat awaits. This way. I do like Estinian's new armor set. Although I guess he's been wearing that since since the first time we saw him after he left Ishgard, but still. I feel like I fly very slow here.
Mm-hmm. It's possible we haven't, or they don't have the option for faster if we have to buy it from somewhere.
Probably. My sire's mortal companion, what bringeth thee back to this forsaken place, child of man?
It's plain she knows naught of recent events. Perhaps you should enlighten her.
Ah, that my sins should be repeated. I sense not the faintest stirring. As to who could have called him forth, I know of none save the dragons of Mericidia, our children. The Icon claimed their souls when first he manifested, and robbed of their will, they became tools of the Allagan's dark design.
I've seen it with my own eyes. Captives of a lost empire, neither alive nor dead, existing only to preserve Bahamut's corporeal form.
Yes, the dragons of Mericidia are at the mercy of this Ascian. There can be no other explanation. Accursed Ascians, vile minions of darkness. Again, you would profane the memory of my beloved and strip our children of their freedom, their dignity. Are there no depths to which you will not stoop?
Your children's pain means nothing to them. They laugh at your kind suffering. But tears will not right this wrong, nor will lamentation see the perpetrators punished.
What wouldst thou have from me, slayer of dragons?
Behavior befitting a great worm. We came here to ask mighty Tiamat of the First Brood, consort of Bahamut, mother of the dragons of Mericidia, what she intends to do about the crimes committed against her children.
Were I free, I would answer thine insolence with fire, but words shall have to suffice. Recall, mortals, that it was I who did first summon my beloved, praying with all of my being to bring him forth. You who contend with icons cannot well be ignorant of the consequence.
You too were exposed to his influence. That you are yet in possession of your own will is testament to the indomitable strength of your soul. But were you to meet with Bahamut again, you fear you might succumb.
Indeed. Ask the Dragon Slayer, and he will tell thee the power we of the First Brood wield. Were I to lose myself to the Icon's influence, all would pay the price. But it's of little matter, for even had I the strength to resist, I yet lack the strength to break my shackles. This prison shall be my tomb.
On the matter of Bahamut's influence, at least, I believe we can be of some assistance.
Well, that sounds like a terrible idea, Alisaie.
If you're afraid of being enthralled, don't be. We have a cure. And while we've never tried it on one such as you, its basic principles are universal.
Speakest thou in earnest?
There is no future for those bound to the past. That you committed a terrible sin, I do not dispute. But if you feel remorse, you may yet make amends. We offer you that chance. Take it, or you will forever remain a prisoner, not of these cruel shackles, but of your own guilt.
A chance to make amends, to lay Bahamut's memory to rest. When our own star faced annihilation, Eidolon granted us sanctuary, and now your foes would bring about her destruction. This I cannot allow. For the debt I owe Hydaelyn, and to all who have suffered up for my sins, I shall fight with you, children of man.
I clicked on Tia or Gara.
Alright. I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
Alize, it took 4 of us burning all of our ether for you to be able to untemper a high priest of the kobolds. This is an ancient elder worm. I'm not sure all the aether in all the people in Eorzea would be enough to untemper her.
Had to tap into the ground.
Probably. While Porxies have shown to be effective in curing the tempered, Tiamat must be considered a special case. She is far larger and immeasurably more powerful than any subject treated thus far. Were we to remove her restraints only to find that the process had failed, we would be hard-pressed to contain her. Then before going ahead, we should learn as much as we can about the exact nature of her condition. You suppose we could find the information here? Why yes, we can. We can indeed. The Allegans kept detailed records on all of their notable captives, and I know exactly where to look. We shall leave it to you, then. In the meantime, the rest of us can turn our thoughts to the removal of those shackles. I know Alphanode and the Warrior of Light here well enough, but not you. Are you certain you're ready to see this through? Rest assured, Sir Estinian, I am both ready and willing to give my all for the sake of this star, though that is not my only reason for wanting to set Tiamat free. While I do not claim to know all of her sorrows, I too once found myself in a prison of despair, and I well understand how hard it can be to dare to dream of escape. It took the encouragement of braver souls than I to make me take the first step toward a brighter future, and now I will help Tiamat do the same. I gather you are not as young as you look. Mayhap when our work here is done, we could trade tales over a pot of Tartaru's famous tea. And be indebted to her for the leaves and hot water? I think not. I see. Returning swiftly to the task at hand, then. I believe the nodes governing Tiamat's restraints are located in the sector known as the flagship. Ah yes, we are familiar with it, the Aetherochemical Research Facility in particular. Oh, you may wish to take this, a spirit vessel containing a small amount of my blood. Knew those things were still around. Which you just happened to be carrying around with you. I suppose that could seem rather odd. To explain, Rambros Urianger and I are researching the use of the spirit vessels and the transference, not only of memories, but the traits of certain bloodlines, and so I keep one at the ready should an opportunity to test our theories arise. As for its use to you, you may recall that during our previous visit, the nodes here granted access to restricted functions, having identified me as being of royal blood. And armed with that spirit vessel, I posit that they will do the same for you, even in the absence of, well, the rest of me. It seemed worth a try, at least. Agreed. We will take good care of it. Do the flagship then.
I will be right back.
Hey. Good evening. Things are going fairly well here. We are working on untempering and freeing Tiamat. Indeed. Looks like we've got 6 quests left and 1 dungeon. Whether we'll get there tonight or not, I don't know, but we'll see.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Let us split up and search the flagship for the node that controls Tiamat's restraints. And should you find a likely candidate, do not be tempted to make any adjustments. It would not do to accidentally release some manner of experimental monstrosity, nor less Tiamat herself in her current state. Our objective at this stage is to simply identify the relevant node of nodes. Once we have learned what we can, we should be able to reconvene and compare notes prior to proceeding. Data link with Delta Quadrant broken. Possible cause, intruder interference. Advised deployment of automated combat units. Proceed. Friction between metallic components detected. Temperature increasing to critical levels. Please replace damaged parts or retreat to a safe distance. Warning. Scheduled Dragon restraint maintenance due in negative 2020 years. Failure to verify system integrity may result in unscheduled specimen release. Oh, I thought we were going to have to go up. I'm afraid Estinian and I have little to show for our efforts. Did you find anything? I'm going to go with yes, a chirping node which spontaneously warned me about neglecting the dragon restraints. Spontaneously, you say? Well, that does sound promising. Almost suspiciously so, in fact. But then you were in possession of the spirit vessel. I dare say it is indeed the node of which Graha spoke. And it was chirping at you, you say? Very well, let's take a closer look.
Well, I told him I found the one that would release the guards. And then he said that that would only work. What the hell? Sorry. It sent me back to the same thing, but took that option off.
Gotcha.
And that stuck me through the same stuff that you went through.
You opted not to tell him about the one that smelled like burnt hair.
No, I went with the other one, releasing the guards, if that would help.
Do you wish to operate the dragon restraint mechanisms? You do not have the requisite access privileges. Operation of the dragon restraint mechanisms may only be undertaken by the chief technologist or members of the royal family. Or those with a vessel full of royal blood, perhaps. New user detected. Commencing biometric authentication. Authentication complete. User identified as member of the royal family. Please state your name.
Oh, hell.
I went with my own name.
This is me when I order stuff. I order food. I always give KJ's name.
Welcome. You may operate the dragon restraint mechanisms when ready. Error. Unable to disengage restraints of the specimen Tiamat. A system update is required. Have you been neglecting your Windows updates node? A system update? What do you suppose it's asking of us? I'm going to hazard a guess. Well, that's more than I can say. Confounded bloody thing. User agitation detected. Initiating guidance program. In order to operate the restraint mechanism, I require access to the central control system. However, I'm unable to establish a link to said system due to the obsolescence of my own software. The issue can be resolved by applying a system update using the corresponding terminal located within the flagship. So, can this thing release the restraints or not? It can, but only once it has received the requisite system update, as far as I can tell. Until which time it'll float there spewing nonsense. User dissatisfaction detected. Initiating placation protocols. I am here to help. Rest assured that I will be on hand to guide you through every step of the system update process. How gratifying. But I dare say we will fare better with guidance than without. Indeed. I don't speak Allegan, so... Guiding user to terminal. This way, please. Let's see. According to the terminal, the central control system is presently employing software version 56.135. Dare I ask which version you are employing? By software version 42.002, of course. Warning, errors detected in data management system. Estimated time to update, 5 years and 1 day.
Oh my gosh.
That is rather longer than we were hoping. Aren't there any other options? For instance, using this terminal to operate TMS restraints instead? The proposed method is indeed an option. Please be warned, however, that the procedure may have changed as a result of the system update, and my instructions may no longer be accurate. Well, I can't imagine it will have changed all that much. As long as we pay due attention to any discrepancy, I dare say we shall be able to muddle our way through. Don't bother trying to explain. Just tell me if we've made progress. I would say so, yes. It does, however, require that I remain here to operate the terminal. I shall inform you via Link Pearl once I am ready to release the shackles. It might be best if you left the spirit vessel with me. I may yet have some use for it. Rest assured, I will be certain to return it to Grahatia once this is over. Just a little more work and Tiamat will be free. But before we go any further, there is something I would know. When Tiamat and her kin fought against the Allegan Empire, both sides were but dancing to the tunes of the Ascians. And it was the same in Ishgard, where they stoked the fires of conflict between man and dragon from the shadows. All that the Ascians touch turns to ash, and thus have you made it your mission to fight them. But there have been times when you tried to reach out to them instead, to find common ground. And so I must ask, what do you intend to do with Fandaniel? Will you try and reach out to him too? I'm going with option 3 here. I'd rather put my lance through his heart and be done with it. But perhaps that's the difference between you and me. You see the good in people, even if but the faintest glimmer. I only hope you do not come to rue your benevolence. You think us unwise for viewing the world thus? Far from it. That has ever been your way, as I learned when we journeyed together with Iceheart. Yet the fact remains that there are some who view compassion as a weakness to be exploited, and there may yet come a time when you extend the hand of friendship only to wish you had dealt a killing blow. So, save your mercy for those who deserve it. Well, we should be getting back to our task. If Alpha Node has things in hand here, I suggest we rejoin the others.
I like number 2.
Number 2, which one was that?
Of course, I'll extend a hand or try. If that doesn't work, I'll remember him.
Ah, yes. The promise to Emmett Selk.
Yes. But in an underlying hint of, well, I will have the last laugh.
Well, this guy, I don't think he wants to be remembered.
No.
And also, he's wearing Asahi's body, and I want to knock the smile off his face.
Yeah. And I've been thinking, we got to get a crystal quick so we can capture that dude's ass and not let him go and come back again.
Indeed. I imagine Urianger is working on that.
Ooh, I hope so.
Estinian told me all is well, but nothing more. Honestly, it's like getting blood out of a stone with him. I take it Alpha Note's absence that he's needed elsewhere. Well, that sounds rather frustrating, but you got there in the end. While you were off talking to the nodes, Graha and I learned as much as we could about Tiamat's condition. Our readings confirm that her etherical balance leads strongly towards the umbral, as was the case with the kobolds. Therefore, all other things being equal, the treatment should work. The difficulty lies in the sheer quantity of ether with which we must contend. Multiple applications of the treatment will inevitably be required if we are to reverse the effects of the tempering completely. Meaning, I'll need all the ether I can get. Thank you in advance. Although this endeavor will ask much of us, we do have one reason to be optimistic. Namely that Tiamat shows no signs of fanatical devotion, suggesting a milder case of tempering than that suffered by the kobolds. Tiamat saw Bahamut as an equal rather than a god. Might that have made the difference? Now that you mention it, it very well might. She would not have believed it necessary to defer to his will. But enough talk. It's time to put our theories to the proof. Tell Alpha Node to disengage the restraint's etherical dampers. I'm counting on you, Angelo. Ah, such warmth. The frost that shrouded my soul doth begin to thaw. But what are these? Visions of days long forgotten? Of war with men and with the men of Alag? Wherefore do such baleful memories return to me now? Could it be the process of restoring her soul to its pre-tempered state is awakening ancient memories? Or might the opposite be true? If so, by helping her recall the past, we may be able to help her speed her recovery. She trusts you. Speak to her. Ask her to tell you of the times past. I'm going with option 1. Ah, Bahamut, my beloved. Would that the peace we found in Mericidia could have lasted for eternity. But alas, it was not to be. The Ascians saw to that. In all creation, I know of none more wicked. It was at their behest that the men of Allag first came to Mericidia, unto our home. The tale began when Bahamut and I left our father's side. We took wing in search of a place to make our eyrie. Beyond the southern ocean, we discovered a lush and fertile land. It would come to be known as Mericidia by the children of men, though many years were to pass before they crossed the seas. Upon our arrival, we were welcomed by the peaceful people of the forest, kin to the trees. Surrounded by nature's bounty, Bahamut and I found a place to raise our young. Fascinating. This correlates with the writings of the Charlian scholar, Ruru Shah. She posits that man first settled on the southern continent towards the end of the Second Astral Era. Correctly, it would appear, if only she were with us to hear the tale from Tiamat herself. Again, Angelo. When first the children of man arrived on our shores, no foot did they set in those places over which we held dominion. Such was their fear of dragonkind. And as they kept their distance, so did we let them be. Yet as the days went by, ship after ship arrived over the horizon, bearing even more of their brethren, who divided the vast land amongst themselves. For a time, they knew peace and prosperity, but as their numbers grew, the smaller their share came to be seen, and soon they began to covet the territory of their fellows. Ere long, man fought man, blood was answered with blood, and none could see an end to the strife, until one day they came to us. Recognizing our wisdom, they entreated us to intercede in their conflicts. Bahamut agreed, and with him presiding over the affairs of men, the land knew peace once more. Alas, those golden days of harmony, too, were fated to end, for the men of Allag slew my beloved, and I, in my rage and sorrow, heeded the envenomed words of the Ascians. The rest thou knowest only too well. But your tale doesn't have to end there. When you are free, we'll rid the world of the Ascians together, and you and your beloved will have justice. Fine sentiments, but you're almost spent. I'll keep watch from above. If the treatment fails, run. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I swear, when this is over... Keep going, Alice. Your magic is working. Well, I knew this wasn't going to be easy. No patient could have prepared me for treating a great worm. But we're close. I could feel it. And while I've only got a few more drops of aether left to give, with yours and Griha's, this will work. Then I believe I speak for both of us when I say you may take as much as you require. Careful, I might hold you to that. Alright, here I go.
No! I'm almost there!
This is it, Angelo!
Yes, I feel it. The icon's grip groweth weak.
Did it work?
We won't know for certain until the shackles are removed.
Answer me this, children of man. Can my kindred be saved in like manner?
Many have been subjected to the Allagan's dark arts, their flesh irrevocably altered. For such tortured souls, I fear there can be no salvation.
My children. Should you hearken unto my call, we shall fly together once more. But should you not, I shall grant you peace. Better to die than live as a tool of evil. You too would wish this, I know, and I shall do as I must.
When that time comes, you won't be alone. We'll stand by you.
Thou hast my gratitude, little one.
Alphino's ready. It's time. Do it. And let's hope the treatment worked as it should.
Bahamut, my beloved. For vengeance and atonement, I rise.
By the gods!
Urianger, your timing could not be better. Understood, we're on our way. It's Bahamut. He's been sighted over Pagalthan. He flies for the largest Amalja settlement in the region, at the head of a vast host, including dragons.
Did you hear all that, Alphino? You'd best rejoin your comrades. I'll make my own way. Our enemy awaits. Shall we?
Stidian has to have the last word, doesn't he? Well, I'm sure you're desperate to join Astidian and Tiamat in battle. It would be wiser to gather the full strength of the Scions first. The foe we face demands no less. I've already sent word to the others. We are to rendezvous in Ul'dah at the Hall of Flames. Let us collect Alpha Node and be on our way. Well, that's the fastest trip to Ul'dah we've ever had.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Cheapest, too.
Well, it's free for me.
Yeah.
Now, I know some of you could do with a rest, but I'm sorry to say the Thalaphori have other plans. Paglothan is already under siege. Happily, the Immortal Flames arrived just in time to join the defensive effort, with Marshal Tarapin at their lead. Well now, given the failure of the peace negotiations, I was uncertain how the Sultanate would respond. It is good to hear that Ul'dah has not abandoned the Amal-Jah. Abandoned them? Did we not profess to be their friends? Hopshan's in uniform today. Your Grace. Marshal Tarpin has made provisions for such an exigency, and was ready to depart at a moment's notice. All that was required was the agreement of the Syndicate, each of whom voted in favor of intervention. Nor is Ul'dah alone in its resolve. The other Alliance nations have likewise dispatched their troops to Paglothan. Yet, even with our combined strength, we shall be sorely tested, for we face not only the might of an Imperial Legion, but Lunar Bahamut and his draconic horde besides. Tiamat's children. Fight as we may, victory is by no means assured. But not all the omens are grim. Our forces report that despite their proximity to Lunar Bahamut, none of the Amal-Jah show any signs of tempering. Strange. What primal would turn down a chance to claim new thralls? Unless it is incapable of doing so? Primals are not wont to serve a master, Ascian or otherwise. It may well be that Lunar Bahamut differs in some fundamental manner from those that previously encountered. If that were true, anyone could fight him. And others like him wouldn't have to shoulder the burden alone. Be that as it may, Lunar Bahamut remains an incalculably powerful foe, whom our soldiers will struggle to best through mere force of arms. With the aid of the Scions, however, I believe that we will fare rather better, assuming, that is, you are ready to take the field. An airship awaits to bear you to the front. Pray set forth as soon as you are able. I, meanwhile, shall continue to coordinate our forces. Till next we meet, may the 12 bless and keep you. It was kind of her to speak to us personally. You may be certain she has no shortage of other responsibilities. Well, I for one am inclined to do as her Grace requests. Lest we forget, our involvement for Dola are in Paglothan on reconnaissance. The sooner we save the day, the better their chances. Indeed. To the airship, then. High-ranking paladin. That's a first lieutenant uniform he's wearing. Greetings. We've been expecting you. But say the word and we shall depart for Pagalthon at once. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ascian vermin, you shall torment my children no longer.
Plus, we got a little, whatchamacallit guys helping us.
Indeed.
We got a unified army on our side. Cool.
Well, that's quite a thing. Mighty coral of some kind. Okay. Alright, Critical Rip is the tank buster. Lightning Bolt is a large targeted circle AoE on all players, with additional ones on random lampposts on the edge of the arena. Players must pass their AoE off to a lamppost that doesn't already have an AoE. Deals moderate damage and inflicts a stack of lightning vulnerability up to players' hit. So when you are targeted with Lightning Bolt, you need to find a lamppost here that isn't already having an AoE on it. Electric Burst is unavoidable moderate party-wide raid damage. Thunder Call summons several lightning orbs along the edge of the arena that occasionally pulse for damage. Precedes Lightning Bolt from the second cast onward. Wide Blaster, a wide cone from his front, immediately followed by Spike Flail, which is a narrow cone from his rear. And it is usually used with no time to avoid it, so do not stand directly behind it. And that is it. Okay, get near one, then get away. Alright, I will need to remember not to point him into the middle of the arena so he doesn't do that again. Oh, he just points that into the middle of the arena. Okay.
I was gonna say I didn't think you had control over it. I had thought that he had just done what he wanted.
Well, he pointed it directly at me before, but I just so happened to be standing in the right spot, apparently. Fancy treasure coffers.
What took you so long? The Amalja are in trouble. Let's split up. Oh, no, you don't.
So far, every item that has dropped in here has been aiming.
And I don't need any of it.
Okay. The main target is the Magitech core, guarded by a force field. To get to the core, the party must defeat waves of ads. While fighting the adds, two of the 3 cannons on the fortress will charge up a blue energy and eventually blast a line ahead of it, dealing damage and inflicting a stack of vulnerability up. The first wave consists of 3 Tempered Imperials and 2 Teletech Predators. After a few moments, 6 more Tempered Imperials will emerge from the sides of the fortress. Magitech Claw, used by Teletech Predators. The Predator jumps at its primary target, dealing moderate damage. Then it says, question marks. Large circle AoE below a random player. Once the entirety of the wave has been defeated, the cannons will power down. The Amalja on the outside of the arena will disable the force field, and the jump pad to the core will appear. Defensive reaction. High party-wide damage, only cast when the Magitech core is directly under attack, and is the core's only method of direct attack. After reaching 50% health, the Magitech core will eject the party back into the arena and reactivate the force field, at which point the second wave of adds appears and new mechanics are added to the cannons. The second wave consists of Imperials, Sky Armors, and a single Mark II Teletech Colossus. Eventually, 6 Imperials and 2 Teletech Predators will appear. Aether Shot is used by the Teletech Sky Armors. It's a circle AoE. Exhaust, used by Mark II Teletech Colossus. Line AoE in the direction of a random player. Missile. 5 sets of 3 missiles appear on the east and west edges of the arena and slowly travel across in straight lines. Ground-to-ground ballistic is a light damage and strong knockback from the center of the arena, only used when the center cannon is not firing. So basically this is kill the adds, then break the core, then kill the adds, then break the core. Otherwise just stay out of the stuff.
Move over here and buy ammo.
Far side. Center. Well, guns are broken now.
Far left.
I took that hit right to the face. I was facing a different direction than you guys.
Far right. Oh, slow rockets. Shit.
Center.
Far right.
Opposite side. That was an interesting fight.
Yeah, I liked it.
Mohawk. Awesome.
About the only thing I would have changed is I would have made the guns louder. So you knew they were charging even if you weren't looking at them.
Yeah. Yeah, that helm was really good.
I thought it looked cool.
coffer. I didn't even see it. Alright. Twisted Scream is a light party-wide damage that spawns 8 nails, staggered out in sets of 2. The nails will explode in the order they appear in large circle AoEs around them. From the third time it's used, 3 sets of nails will appear instead of 2. Persian Breath is a cone AoE from Lunar Bahamut's front toward a random player. Ankh-Mon is a stack marker on a random player, deals moderate damage 4 times in a row. So, when you're stacked, it's going to hit 4 times. Don't run out until after it's hit all 4 times. Mega Flare, orange markers on each player, spread to avoid overlapping damage. After the initial explosion, a second circle AoE will appear where each player was standing when the first strike went off, exploding a few moments later. So, don't be standing in the same place you were. Mega Flare Dive, Lunar Bahamut becomes untargetable, moves to one edge of the arena, then dive bombs in a line across, dealing high damage and knockback to players hit. Lunar Bahamut proceeds to attack with a Twisted Scream that leaves nails in the safe areas, okay? Khan Rai targets a random player with a short cross AoE. After a few seconds, energy erupts from the ground below where the target was standing, leaving a lingering AoE that pulses high damage every second for a few seconds. If the fight is allowed to drag on, subsequent casts of Khan Rai will retarget multiple players. Lunar Flare covers the arena in a purple circle AoEs that shrink over time, gradually exposing safe areas. The attack can leave 4 safe areas along the edge of the arena, or a single safe area in the direct center, but not both at the same time. Giga Flare is high, unavoidable party-wide damage, and Flatten is the tank buster. This is used late in the fight, so it's often skipped with enough DPS. I wonder how dangerous that means it is, if it's specifically saved for the end of the fight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Remember, it hits 4 times.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, you're just gonna get hit by it,
Wow.
Indeed. Get to the center. This looks like the... Or no, edges.
Edge,
yeah. And if you get targeted by the cross again, once it starts firing, I think you can get out of it.
Okay.
Pop in whenever you're ready, KJ. Center.
Enter.
I feel like he may have just used the tank buster on me and I didn't notice it. I was concentrating on avoiding the other thing. Big attack coming in.
I ran into one. I didn't see it there. Damn it. Corner
Edges.
edges. Nice.
That fight wasn't too bad.
I didn't realize I was tombstone capped. Dang it.
I'm probably pretty close myself.
That looks different.
Very tribal. Before I hit the exit and start the cutscene, I'm going to AFK for a minute. I'll be right back.
Alright.
And I am back.
Welcome back.
Children of man, the shade of my beloved is no more, and I shall be forever in your debt. By your deeds are we set free, and free we shall remain. As long as I draw breath, never again shall the dragons of Merceria hearken to the lies of Asians. This I vow.
Noble warriors, the dragons chose their friends well. Long have our peoples waged war, but no more. Your fallen lie beside our own. By our words and deeds shall we honor their sacrifice. The enemy of our enemy is our friend. And you have proven yourselves worthy of our trust. It is the Garleans who are deserving of our fury. I shall see that my brethren learn the truth of this day, and rally as many as possible to the cause, till we meet again.
And thus did we make allies of the Amalja.
It would certainly seem that way. The Sultana will be pleased. Let's go and give her the good news, shall we?
Sometime later, inside the Pugglethon Tower, well, this doesn't look good. It's never good to be standing on a platform that appears to be made of meat.
What in Ralga's name happened here?
The gods only know. But you can bet these poor
That's
sods
what
aren't
we'll
here by
call it.
choice.
Quickly! We've got to get them free!
I guess, yeah, meat, flesh, yeah.
Get back!
No! What have I done?
It's too late for them. We're leaving, now.
No! No! dare! We came together and we're leaving together!
Ah, so they're forced summoning towers. Okay. While it would be too much to hope that we have seen the last of Fandaniel, we have dealt his schemes a telling blow this day, and that alone is cause to celebrate. And celebrate I will, when I've received word of Arnvald's safe return. Standing around here worrying is not going to help matters. Come, we must discuss the day's events with Pippin and her grace. Brave Scions. Would that I could treat you to a hero's welcome, but I bear urgent news from the frontistry? I've never seen that word before. Your Grace, whatever is the matter? As our troops withdrew from Pogglethon, they came upon 2 scouts sent to the nearby tower. I have yet to hear a full account, but it seems that one of them, your friend I believe, has been wounded, and was being dragged away by the other. Oh no. I must go. Forgive me, Your Grace. Can you tell us aught of Arnvald's condition, Your Grace? The wounded scout. Not say that it is grave. The surgeons tend to him even as we speak. The infirmary must be inundated with the wounded. If all of us go, we'll only be get underfoot. Would you mind going after Alphanode? He may need some support from someone other than me. Very well. Thank you. The rest of us will see that the relevant people know what took place in Pogglethon. Come on, then.
I took Haste Change Strip. It's by the Alchemist Guild.
Yeah, I'm just trying.
Can't find the thing, the teleport.
Ah, we just take the lift down. Yeah. It's been too long since I've been in the airship landing.
I thought there was a crystal down here.
You can teleport to it, but you can't teleport from it. You have to take the lift.
Yeah, I think because technically the airship landings count as an outer gate. So
Wait, where did you guys go?
I went to Ruby Road so I could head to an Aetherite.
Hastings Strip is what I did, and then you just go down a little bit and turn right, and there'll be an Aetherite.
Cut across. Gotcha. Or Aetherite, yeah.
You did say it was by the Alchemist Guild. I didn't even think about that. Another one come to see the lad in silver armor? Master Damalon is attending to him as we speak. If you'd be so kind as to wait. What did Master Damalon say? Tell me his exact words. Going with option 2. But, right. Forgive me. When we said our farewells to Arnvald, I was afraid that something like this might happen. But now that it has, all we can do is wait.
Fordola, have you been waiting here all this time?
We have done what we can. The rest is up to him.
May we see him?
I do not think that wise. You must let him sleep.
Thank you for bringing him back. He owes you his life. I just wish I had been there. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps I could have...
Could have what? Got tempered? Don't flatter yourself. You can't save everyone. No one can. Not even the warrior of bloody light. People die all the time, for no good reason. And those who take up the sword die quicker than most. If you're going to shed a tear every time a soldier falls on the battlefield, you'd best stay away. It's no place for the weak of heart.
It may be that victory cannot be won without cost. But all life is precious, and I refuse to shrug at its loss.
All life is precious! Oh, you need to grow up, little man. Before your sparkling ideals get everyone killed.
You're right. He is idealistic. But the world has more than its fair share of realists, like you and me. It's people like him who dare to dream that things could be better and make it happen against all the odds. They are the ones whose names live on forever. The heroes.
The battlefield's littered with would-be heroes. At this rate, you'll lot'll be next. And what'll become of your precious dreams then? They'll be gone. Like dust on the wind.
Dreams worth fighting for don't die so easily.
I know. I know. There's nothing more I can do here. Come, let's rejoin the others. Her Grace invites the Scions of the Seventh Dawn to join her in the Fragrant Chamber. Your comrades have already arrived. Will the three of you be joining them? We will.
Your Grace, pray forgive us our lateness.
Think not of that. I understand a close comrade of yours was wounded in the line of duty. Arenvold. It was at the Alliance's behest that he risked all, and we are grieved to hear of his condition. Rest assured, he will receive the finest care our chirurgeons can provide. Now, we would share with you the findings of the mission. Pippin, pray relate to our guests the details of Fordola's account.
First Bahamut, now Ifrit. Or Lunar Ifrit, as Fandaniel would doubtless have it.
'Tis now all but certain that the towers were conceived to facilitate the summoning of primals by those imprisoned within. Less certain is the means by which the Telophoroi constrain the wills of said entities to enact their designs in defiance of the pleas of their victims.
Mayhap they do not. If mere proximity to the towers is enough to make loyal servants of the Empire's mortal enemies, it stands to reason that the same is true for those held captive. They invoke their gods for the good of Garlemald, and in their disturbed state of mind, summon a primal whose form reflects their own alteration.
It all begins to make sense. Upon closer inspection, I realized that the towers bear a striking resemblance to a much larger structure which Urianger and I observed from afar during our visit to the Imperial capital. Assuming it too is capable of tempering those in its immediate vicinity, it would go some way to explain the swiftness with which the Telophoroi managed to rally so many Imperials to their cause.
While the situation in Garlemald is indeed troubling, I fear we have more immediate concerns. Ifrit was not the only primal summoned. At approximately the same time, observers at several other towers bore witness to the emergence of further such entities. For a blessing, none appear to wield aught approaching the destructive power of Bahamut, and the Grand Companies are moving to deal with the threat even as we speak. Though we are aware that the task will not be easy, we would call upon the Scions only as a last resort. After all,
didn't mean to skip
it was
that.
not so very long ago that you rid us of Bahamut. On which note, I am pleased to report that our talks with the Amalja have reached an agreeable conclusion. They have pledged their full support to our cause. It is our hope that this historic agreement will encourage other tribes to join us at the negotiating table. And I know that I speak for all of the Allied leaders when I say that we will welcome them with open arms at such time as they do. Of course, this was only made possible by the feats of heroism performed at Paglfan. Moreover, we shall not allow the sacrifices of those fallen in battle to have been made in vain. As hope leads to victory, shall victory lead to a new dawn for Eorzea.
May these words ever be our guide, Your Grace.
Now, if you will forgive me, I must consult with the Syndicate on the matter of our new allies' integration. Till next we meet, my friends, I bid you safe travels and blessed respite.
And we have officially completed patch 5.5, I believe, and we are on to 5.55. I think. Right then. Unless anyone has any objections, I think it's about time we return to the Rising Stones. And that includes you, Alpha Node. Arnvald is in good hands here. Of course, he would doubtless mock me for pacing about the infirmary. So let's retire then, that we might regain our strength and readiness for the coming challenges. If all are in agreement then, I shall let Kryl know to expect us. A hot bath and a hearty meal shouldn't be beyond arranging with the time available. It'll be good to be home. I have some thinking to do. Yes, I'll try asking him. And thank you. I shall look forward to it. Our comrades eagerly await our return, and Kryl in particular has a few matters she is keen to discuss. One of which concerns you, Estinian, believe it or not. You will join us, won't you? Fine. Really? I thought you said you were avoiding that Baldessian woman. If I refused, she would only pursue me. Let's get this over with, shall we?
Revenant's tall, right?
Yep. Why do I have... Oh, did somebody spin or get a free company perk for MGP?
Zora. Zora did it.
I just looked up there and saw the usual reduced rates, and there was an icon next to him. I'm like, what is jackpot? Where did I get that from?
I do it for you now.
Yeah, she does it for me, but...
I have no objections. I just noticed it was there.
Well, for like, if you do the 4,000, it's 440, so that's
Welcome
nice.
back. I expect you
Gotcha.
must all be exhausted. Ere you take your
4,400, I
rest,
mean.
however, I would beg a moment of your time. Thanks to Arenvold's selfless efforts, we may now be confident that we understand the function of the towers. But many questions remain regarding the reason for the summonings, and what lurks behind the looming edifice in Garlemald. Until such questions are answered, we will struggle to devise an effective strategy for thwarting the Telophoroi's stated aim. Nothing less than the destruction of this star. And so, given the gravity of the situation, I move that we petition the aid of Sharlayan.
'Tis possible the ancient knowledge preserved within our archives may hide a clue to our enemy's methods. But given Sharlayan's established policy of non-intervention, our former colleagues are not like to aid us in its discovery.
Oh, I well remember what they're like. The Forum's barefaced refusal to assist you in the days prior to the calamity must rank as Sharlayan's most shameful act since the Exodus. But were the final days to be reenacted, it would spell doom for us all. Surely even they cannot turn a blind eye to that. I trust we are all of the same mind on this matter. Urgent as it seemed, I took the liberty of petitioning the Alliance for leave to act as Eorzea's emissary, and have since received their blessing.
I presume your role as a student of Baldessian will carry some weight with the Forum?
One can but hope. If truth be told, our organization has been a shadow of its former self ever since the disappearance of the Isle of Val. But the name does still retain some degree of prestige. I only pray it will be enough. If there are no objections, I shall depart for Sharlayan at once. But before I do, I should also mention the other matter to which I would devote some time during my stay. After hearing what transpired in the first, I began to question the true nature of Hydaelyn's blessing. A topic I have discussed at some length with Y'shtola.
We were wondering, when was the last time Hydaelyn spoke to you directly? When you regained her blessing, was it not? But never since. Not in all your time in the First, when you faced the Unsundered, the very heart of Zodiark.
History shows us that Hydaelyn is able to awaken the echo in her chosen, convey her will directly, and grant the blessing of light. To our knowledge, however, she has not sought to intervene in man's affairs for some considerable time.
Might not the explanation for that lie with her choice of champion? Mayhap she is content to trust in his judgment.
Mayhap she is. But following my initial discussion with Kryl, I made inquiries of my own. And as far as I am able to tell, Hydaelyn has not made her will known to anyone.
During my time in the First, the Oracle of Light spoke to me through Reen. But that was not the will of Hydaelyn. It was Minfilia herself.
Indeed. And while she and Hydaelyn were inextricably linked, Minfilia yet acted of her own volition. A messenger, yes, but one who spoke with her own voice.
I wonder, could Hydaelyn's silence suggest the presence of some disruptive force, perhaps? Some obstacle to communication? While I share Urianger's high opinion of your conduct, I see no reason why she would deny you her guidance altogether. Then again, who am I to say? The fact is, we simply don't know. But if the explanation is to be found anywhere,
I can think of worse places to look than the archives of Sharlayan, and their research on the Ethereal Sea in particular. Resolved though I am to go, believe me when I say that I take no pleasure in the thought of leaving you a member short. Now, of all times. Estinian, we stand on the eve of a struggle that will decide the fate of this star. One in which we Scions may play a telling part, yet we are but few in number. And so I must ask you again, will you join us?
You see the world the way you want it to be. I see the world the way it is. You are idealistic to a fault.
But I know you would never turn your back on those in need.
Never close your eyes to their suffering. And somehow, your deeds lend truth to your words, giving the lie to my doubts in so doing.
I have seen others draw strength from your belief. In Ishgard, in Alamigo.
You inspired them to stand up and fight.
To win, no less.
And even when you lost those you held dear,
you carried their spirit with you, and made their memory your guiding light.
The burden of so many hopes and dreams would be too heavy for most to bear.
But you bear it willingly, as you have shown me. Some dreams are too important to let go.
If you have need of my strength, it's yours.
After all you've done, how could I refuse?
Thank you, Estinian. Whatever challenges await us, I shall not falter. You have my word.
And now, I may bid you farewell. Safe in the knowledge that all is as it should be. In this little corner of the world, at least.
You will be sorely missed. Tread warily in Sharlayan, and do try not to let the Forum embroil you in their politics. A forlorn hope, I know, given the individuals involved.
I shall do my very best. Farewell.
Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace. I think you need to seek help, Xenos.
Well, does this one meet with your approval? Apparently not. Or could it be that you're still upset about the dragons?
You are unwise to remind me of so costly a failure. It will not affect our plans, I trust.
Oh, hardly at all. Though, admittedly, the chances of us being able to procure any more Mericidian dragons are rather slimmer following Tiamat's reappearance. Oh, but the seeds have been sown, my lord. We have only to wait for them to quicken. Speaking of preparations, is it safe to assume that you will be ready to control you-know-what?
The hour draws nigh. This nation, forged for Ascian ends, will finally prove its worth.
A mighty empire, now no more than an instrument of this star's destruction. What a pleasure it will be to put it to use. Which brings me back to our earlier topic. My lord, while I appreciate that it is not an easy decision, it really is past time you chose your weapon.
There is one that I have been meaning to test.
Well, well, not quite what I was expecting, though I will say, it does seem rather apt.
Well, it looks like I'm going to have a busy few moons. Not that they ever seem to be anything but. Thancred's got me dispatching troops to every corner of the realm, which is not to say I don't trust the Alliance, because I do, but when it comes to putting down primals, nobody does it better than us. Well then, you lot, more accurately. You won't catch me trading blows with a primal in the near future, but for every fell fiend you vanquish, there's countless meals to arrange, baths to fill, sheets to wash, stores to replenish, and the list goes on. Which is where I come in, and gladly, mind you. It's the least I can do to support the scions who risk life and limb, like poor Arnvald. I wish there was something we could do for him. But we'll just have to settle for saying the odd prayer and keeping a roof over our heads. It wouldn't do to have him come back to a complete shambles, now would it? But that's enough of my rambling. Off you go and get some rest. If there are any developments, I promise that you'll be the first to know. Okay, that was the end of 5.5. Now we are starting 5.55.
I got disconnected. I'm logging back in.
Alright, no problem. The game has not yet noticed. I shall go ahead and begin the reading of the next quest.
That's fine.
Ah, you're looking well. I take it you managed to squeeze in some rest. If you came hoping for tidings from Kryl, I'm afraid we're still waiting. But we do have some odd scraps of news to share. Scraps, she says. Lunar primals have been popping up all over the place, but the Alliance has the situation well in hand, thanks in no small part to Hoary Boulder and the others. Meanwhile, talks with the Beast tribes are going even better than expected. Encouraged by Ul'dah's progress with the Amal-Jah, Gridania has opened negotiations with the Ixal, believe it or not. All of which is obviously very encouraging. But with the Telephori still out there, it's not that it's not as if we can afford to lower our guard.
Okay, I literally had no cue.
Nice.
I know, really nice.
Begging your pardon, but I come bearing an invitation from the Alliance. A council meeting is due to be held in Al Amigo, and your attendance is humbly requested. We were just talking about the Alliance. May I ask what's on the agenda? I believe the intention is to share news of recent developments and discuss what measures might be taken to combat the Telephori. In concert with our new allies, the Beast tribes have also been invited. It is hoped that they will join us in a fight against our common foe. So the Alliance would bring all of the Beast tribes into the fold at a single stroke. An ambitious plan, given the delicacy of the negotiations, but mayhap an expedient one, considering the threat we face. Indeed, my lady. And for that part, I am told the Beast tribes have agreed to attend. If the Scions too are present, all of Eorzea will be represented. To arrange such a meeting must have been quite an undertaking, not only diplomatically, but practically. Pray inform the Alliance that we would be honored to participate. We shall make for Al Amigo without delay. That I will bear your answer thither with all haste. We look forward to receiving you at the Royal Palace. Well, now that we've accepted the invitation, who exactly is going to attend? I move that you and Ishtola lead our contingent. Given how long you have worked to end summoning, it is only right that you be present for what promises to be a historic moment. I think we've all played our part in that little endeavor, don't you? All present may rightly claim a seat. I do quite agree, but by your leave, I believe I shall remain here and lend what assistance I can to the coordination of our defensive efforts. I'm not coming either. Imric will be there, and I'd rather not be interrogated. Very well then. Those with a mind to hold the fort, get on with holding it, I guess. Those with a mind to hold the fort, get on with holding it. I suggest the rest of us make for Al Amigo. Shall we?
Oh, FYI, I don't know if you noticed this, but if we were ever here in this area again, if you do /instance, it'll tell you which one you're in.
Ah, good to know. that is a dead end. And I tried to talk to the wrong NPC. We have been expecting you. While some few guests have yet to arrive, the Alliance leaders are all present. Shall I show you in?
Esteemed guests, you honor us with your presence. As there is much to discuss, let us begin.
Information on our taken brethren you have, yes? Hear it we would! Ah! Beyond forgiveness these featherless ones are! With rivers of blood shall they pay. Freed our people must be!
We too would see your kin liberated. But ere we attempt their rescue, we must first find a means to negate the risk of tempering. Without that, we will be unable even to approach the towers, let alone contend with their defenders.
If all else fails, I've always found cannonballs quite effective.
And what of the prisoners? Would you see them slaughtered?
Think for a moment. Ponder, consider, think. If Merlwyb truly intended to bombard the towers, she would have done so by now. Remember, we came here to find a solution together, did we not?
Y'shtola spoke of defenders. I but offered a means to clear a path, should you require it.
Given the enemy's capabilities, we will all need to play our part if we are to have any chance of success. For if any here should give less than their best, it will be to the cost of every living being on this star.
A paragon, the Empire, our very gods. How can we hope to prevail against such odds?
That our foe is formidable, none would deny. But our strengths are many and varied. In this chamber, I see masters of strategy, masters of magic, masters of the land, the air, and the sea. And together, there is nothing in creation we cannot overcome.
Just noticed how ridiculously wide this table is.
Yeah, without the chairs for them.
I beg your pardon?
What is it, Soulwalker? Do not express your passion thus. A little pretty without gills, perhaps? Suffice it to say, I am proud to be counted amongst Eorzea's finest. We Sahagin will play our part.
We kobolds have not forgotten the crimes the Overdwellers committed against us in the past. But today we look to the future, as allies united in purpose.
Make mock of the Ixal the Paragon does! Turns kin into puppets! Pits brother against brother! Free them from his grasp, we shall!
As Patriarch Zadar will attest, the Scions have granted us a means to free your brethren from their thraldom. This boon we will gladly share, that your people might never be enslaved again.
We accept! We accept!
Praise be!
It's taken a while, but I do believe we might be one step closer to a world without primals. Would that Minfilia were here to see it.
We still have a long way to go, and we're going to need a lot more Porksies. But we're moving in the right direction.
If I may have your attention, there is one other point I would like to raise. As we can all agree, freeing those held captive must take precedence over every other concern. But experience has taught us that none save those with the capacity to resist tempering can hope to enter the towers unscathed. And even once inside, a still greater threat may yet await them, that which we call a primal. Needless to say, if we are to succeed, engaging with such foes can only ever be considered a last resort. And so I move that we seek to prevent them from being summoned in the first place.
Yes! Both prayer and ether are needed for the ritual. Should either one be denied, the summoning would fail.
Indeed. And so we must endeavor to discover the source of the ether on which the process depends. Do so, and it may present a way to halt the summonings, or perhaps even neutralize the towers entirely.
A promising proposal. While you are conducting your investigations, however, we will need to remain vigilant, lest the Telophoroi commit further abductions and summon primals ere we have the means to prevent them. To stand a better chance of keeping our enemy at bay, we would do well to coordinate our defensive efforts, sending reinforcements to assist our neighbors when needed.
We Amalja would have been overwhelmed were it not for our newfound allies. But say the word, and we shall come.
I see we are all in accord. But what are we to call this proud fellowship of ours? I submit that the honor of naming it should go to the scion whose brave efforts have done so much to unite Eorzea. What say you, my friend?
Silly name, but
But that's the name I...
A fine choice, for there is none here who does not love Eorzea.
Aye, in that we shall ever be united.
United in our gratitude for the realm that gave us life.
Then let it be recorded that on this day, the Grand Company of Eorzea was born.
How long have we dreamed of this moment? And now that it's here, Oh, forgive me. Might we speak outside?
Well, now that we are out of earshot from the other delegates, I hope you'll forgive me if I speak my mind. Let me begin by saying that I have dreamed of this day since the moment I first set foot on these shores, and that I was as heartened as anyone to see the peoples of Eorzea pledge their solidarity. Yet, even as they uttered their declarations, all I could think about was the conflict to come, of the sacrifices that would be made, and the lives lost. Inevitabilities that I still struggle to accept. But at least now there is hope. The formation of the Grand Company of Eorzea is the first step, the first of many. Many and more. Elder Seedseer, how might we be of service? I seek Master Alphinaud's assistance in the matter in a matter involving Gridania's neighbors, the Sylphs. I know that you and yours have long kept a weather eye upon the crystal trade, the better to predict the coming of primals, and so you will be familiar with the Sylphs of the Ash Crown Consortium. Through their dealings, they have cultivated relations not only with the city-states, but many other communities besides. Communities such as the Beast Tribes. Just so. It is our hope that we might make use of the Sylph's established lines of communication to coordinate the effort of our new fellowship. Yet there remain certain practical differences between a trade consortium and a grand company. If the Sylphs are to perform their task effectively, they will require the counsel of one versed in operational aspects of an armed force. An armed force founded with the selfsame goal in mind, no less. The Crystal Braves, yes. Forgive me, Master Alphinaud. I know that it was a painful chapter in your life, but the experience may yet be made to serve the realm. In my hubris, I plotted a course for the Crystal Braves, which stretched far beyond the Order's initial conception. One intended to pave the way for the founding of what I intended to call the Grand Company of Eorzea. But my plans all came to naught. Built upon a frail foundation of lofty ideals, the Order was doomed from the first to collapse under the weight of more worldly interests. And I have no wish to see this new endeavor suffer the same fate. Mayhap I ask too much of you? Not at all. You may count upon my assistance. For what little it's worth, by your leave, I shall prepare a report, including a list of recommendations drawing on the lessons I learned from the failures of the Crystal Braves. You have my gratitude, Master Alphinaud, and my trust. When your report is ready, pray share it directly with the Sylphs. With your guidance and the earnest efforts of every goodly soul gathered here this day, I have no doubt that our fellowship shall emerge from the shadow of the Telephorai and flourish. Until next we meet, my friends. Before committing anything to writing, there are a number of people whose thoughts I should like to hear. Former Braves, you understand. Might you join me in seeking them out? I like option 2, but I'm going to go with option 1. Thank you. As someone who witnessed the Order's rise and fall, yours would be a reassuring presence. I'll join you. If you're planning to canvass the opinions of your former comrades, it will be a lot quicker if we share the task of questioning them. Then mayhap Graha would lend a hand as well. I shall accompany Thancred back to the Rising Stones. Between us, I dare say we should be able to provide an accurate enough account of the day's events. We should be glad of your company, Graha. I shall explain the details on the way. So, what's the plan, brother mine? Before discussing the task at hand, I should probably admit that the report I proposed is largely written. Not long after that fateful day in Ul'dah, I penned a detailed account of the organization's history, from the events that led to its inception to the failings that brought about its demise. This I did primarily as a means of taking some semblance of responsibility. Never did I imagine that it might later be referred to by those seeking to form a similar organization. And while I made every attempt to be objective, the account was mine alone. Its events viewed from my singular perspective. For it to be of use, however, it must be broadened to encompass the viewpoints of all involved. Only then can it answer what seems to me to be the crucial question, namely, why, after the Crystal Braves disbanded, did some members choose to remain with us while others did not? I see. You think the answer will tell us something about the nature of the ties that bind our new Grant Company together, and that this knowledge might help us to prevent it from falling apart when those bonds are inevitably tested. That is my hope, yes. But the question I would ask are uncomfortable to some. As the former commander of the Crystal Braves, I doubt that those who abandoned the cause would welcome my inquiries. Then Graha and I will just have to try. Meanwhile, the two of you could talk to the ones who kept the faith. A fine suggestion. Have care, however. Certain of our former comrades are of questionable character. So keep your wits about you, and let us reconvene in Gridania later on. If you have no objection, I have a mind of speaking with Rial and Aliane. If memory serves, the two of them will be attending an intelligence briefing in Castromorians. Let us seek them out there. Welcome back, Zora. Had you already clicked through the quest?
I caught up.
Okay.
That's right, close wherever it is. It's only 70, okay, yeah. The doorway.
Oh, look who it is. What brings you two here? Wouldn't have anything to do with the big meeting, would it? In a manner of speaking, I have been assigned a task, you see, for which I require the assistance of former members of the Crystal Braves. So, you want to know why we decided to stick with Scions, eh? Ain't an easy thing to put into words, that. As Riel will attest, I spent a long time agonizing over my failure to alert you to the traitors in our midst. For my negligence, I was captured along with many others, and we were powerless to prevent the tragedies that ensued. Not a day goes by that I don't think back to those fateful events. By joining the Scions, I had hoped to redeem myself, and I will continue to serve the cause for as long as I am able. But that wasn't my only reason. When we were finally reunited at the Rising Stones, you refused to blame anyone but yourself for the fall of the Crystal Braves. And in spite of everything that had happened, everything you had suffered, you took us back without a moment's hesitation. We would not have blamed you if you'd turned us away, but when you gave us your trust instead, what else could we do but try and repay it? Nothing, that's what. As for me own tale, well, I've always felt the Scions have something in common with me old crew. The duty of the strong is to protect the weak. That's what our creed was, and I still strive to live by it to this day. But as time's gone on, I've learned that strength comes in many shapes and sizes. From Hoary Boulder to Mistress Tataru. We've all of us got something to offer. And not one of us is doing it for personal gain. Because we believe there's more important things than that. Things worth protecting. Which is what being a scion is all about. I am at a loss for words. Thank you, my friends. To hear this from you means more than you know. Forgive me, could you... Go with option 2. Well, its founding ideals were something to be proud of, but ideals alone don't make the crew. For every swab who signed up with good intentions, there was another who was only in it for the coin, the glory, or both. Ours was quite a disparate band, and while I will never forgive Ilberd, the fact that we managed to function at all was thanks in large part to his efforts. Just a pity he was doing it for all the wrong reasons, eh? Only takes one bad apple, they say, and the Braves had a barrel full of them. Not like the Scions. We might look like a ragtag band of misfits, but deep down, we've all got the shared sense of purpose. And why? Because Tartaru shifted out all the glory hunters before they made it through the door. I see. So while our ranks comprise a diverse range of people, each with their own individual strengths, we are united in purpose. Thank you, my friends. With your permission, I shall make a record of our discussion and refer to it when drafting my recommendations. Until we meet again. Well, I think we have taken up enough of our colleagues' time, and I am conscious that less life-affirming testimonies await. Let us make our way to Gridania and hear what the others have learned. Okay, I liked that. He said, let us make for Gridania and tell the others what we learned, and then he turned around and said goodbye to the other 2 NPCs.
Yeah.
Isn't Gridania free for you too?
Yeah.
Near the Lancers Guild, of all things. Thanks to Tartaru's ever-dependable intelligence, we managed to track down a handful of former Braves without any great difficulty. Some were forthright, others less so. But we heard enough to form a picture. I must warn you, Alpha Node, some of the comments were harsh. I can well imagine, but their opinions are no less vital to my report. I seek the unvarnished truth. Thank you. I will set about adding your findings to my own at once. In the meantime, pray go ahead to Little Solace and seek out Elder Frixio. I will join you anon. All right. I have looked over at the quests we have remaining, and this quest appears to be mostly just talk, but there's a good chunk of it. And the next quest has a solo duty in it. So we probably want to go ahead and call it here, and we will finish up Shadowbringers next week.
Sounds good.
All right.
good.
Just one moment, and I'll wind down the stream. All right, guys. I believe we will call it here for the night. And I will be back tomorrow with more Final Fantasy VII. Until then, I want to thank y'all for joining me. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'll see y'all next time. And have a good night.